afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022, left 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be having a Time for Change call tomorrow night, Wednesday night, November 23, at 9 p.m. Eastern. The moment we start seeing this life as non-serious, a playfulness or all the burden on our hearts disappear. All the fear of death, of life, of love, everything disappears. One starts living with a very light weight or almost no weight. So weightless one becomes, one can fly in the open sky, also. When was the last time you experienced a deep belly laugh? Laughter not only feels good, but it produces a lightness and a liberating feeling inside of us, which can enlighten this world. There have been many mystics in history who laughed their way to enlightenment. They realized the bigger picture and discovered freedom from their personal suffering. If you always look at the laughing Buddha, which is Maitreya, see statues, he is always laughing. I mean, big time. Another side effect of laughter is that our aura expands. And the entire energetic field connected to the biomagnetic field opens up to attract a greater abundance. We become a magnet for more love, connection, and trust in this deep state of joy. We release all of our problems and see the infinite possibilities that exist all around us. The light, carefree energy of laughter is like a happy magnet, which will only attract more joyful experience to you. We tend to attract whatever it is we want or need in this world naturally and effortlessly because the world just wants to give it to us and see us become even happier. We get rewarded for bringing more smiles and joy into others' lives, and people are happy to just get to hang around us. If someone is facing a serious life situation, perhaps battling a life-threatening dis-ease, or going through a nasty divorce, genuine laughter is also the greatest natural cure. We may think it's rude or inconsiderate to bring lightness into a serious situation, yet seriousness is a dis-ease to the soul. When things become super serious and heavy, people end up making fear-based choices, and like chemotherapy or some long-term pharmaceutical treatment that will only perpetuate a state of ill health. The energy of lightness behind our laughter is what creates a healing response in the body and a higher perspective on life. There are slews of documented scientific cases about people who have laughed away their cancers, tumors, or terminal illness and returned all of their body's cells to perfect health. Laughing causes the body to produce antibodies that boost the immune system and fight off all dis-eases. Do your research. You'll see, if you haven't already. We are much, much, much more powerful than whatever lies we were taught in this social structure. Laughter is extremely powerful. and can heal anyone in the most natural way to heal from any illness. Even though we were taught to respond with seriousness in challenging life situations, and taught that it is socially improper if you don't become more serious, just the opposite is true. Serious attitude creates even more serious problems down the road. The serious mind only radiates fear, control, and anger. These create low vibrations in the body that feed into creating a further state of dis-ease. Laugh, and your life will be lightened and lengthened. For this is the great secret of long life, augmentino. You might be saying to yourself, how can I laugh when I'm in pain and facing a possible death? Or I cannot laugh because I have so many problems to deal with in my life. Just like enlightenment, humor is all a matter of perspective. The contracted ego mind takes everything seriously, and again, seriousness is a dis-ease to our souls. Once we take one baby step back from our mind, we can spiritually realize that we are not these thoughts, and we are also not this body, and we are a soul who will never die. Within that soul is the God. Sit in the back seat of your consciousness for just one moment. Open to a moment of stillness and breath in the sensation that there is a deeper spiritual experience of who you are. You will feel free once you truly realize that you are an eternal being who will never die. Once you get a glimpse of knowing this truth, you will smile, giggle, get the great cosmic joke, and be able to laugh about anything and everything. If we could watch the movie of our lives from our birth until now, and could measure our level of happiness along the way, we would see that those times in our lives when we were the most serious were also when we were living the greatest lie. And sure, you might fight to prove this lie is real or true, yet the mind is a master of creating all sorts of stories about yourself that you believe to be true, and yet are false. The biggest lie, of course, is that you are a limited being with limited resources. So the mind creates this, creating all sorts of stories about yourself that you believe to be true, and yet are completely false. And the biggest lie, of course, is that we are all limited beings with limited resources who need to take life's tribulations very seriously. Old Japanese proverb, time spent laughing is time spent with the gods. Whenever we're serious about something, notice how immediately your breath gets smaller and tighter, and your thinking becomes narrow and tense. The body feels more rigid and inflexible, and it becomes difficult to think new, positive thoughts about anything. This is the body of a serious person. However, the biggest blind spot that serious people have is that they don't know that they can only think positive thoughts when they are relaxed, trusting, and open to this next moment of life. We live our lives like a tightly closed fist. We're gripping tightly. We will not be able to manifest our dreams. Only when a fist is open and relaxed can it receive the answers to our life's most challenging questions. After just one good, long, deep belly laugh, all the judgments, fears, and worries that we would usually carry around suddenly melt away and are nowhere to be found. Laughter creates instant healing, but how many, you ever notice? You take notice? How much laughter do you experience? How many people are you around where there's laughter prevalent? I mean, really genuine. Laughter creates instant healing, absolute freedom, and real sovereignty in our lives. We have to let our egos go and trust this life when we are laughing out loud. Our egos are truly defenseless when we are chuckling madly away at something hilarious. In laughter, we get to drop all those ideas about who we think we are and experience the bliss within our being. With deep laughter comes the spontaneous, automatic release from the egoic games of superiority or inferiority. We all merge and feel a deep bond when we all have a good laugh together. When we can laugh at ourselves, the ego comes to a complete halt, and we can experience the free-flowing, abundant, manifesting beings within us all. Against the assault of laughter, nothing can stand, Mark Twain. And when you realize you walk around, it's not like you look for laughter. But how do you feel when you're around people who are grim looking? You can feel it, can't you? You can feel the energy. You don't have to know them. You don't have to be acquaintance with people. Since all the gods we are connected as one. So, but when you're out and about, or you read something, you see something, a picture, you see something. Have you ever noticed a difference between being around somebody who's just, really intense and serious, and then someone who's the opposite, lighthearted, easygoing, laughing and smiling a lot, and it's genuine, and you just like to be around that. That's why we have comedians. That's why we have, comedy shops, that type of thing, where people laugh. You ever been in a situation where you just, and it was, you might have been talking with somebody or watching something, and something, now some people it wouldn't be funny at all, but to you just crack up. You can't stop laughing. And you've ever laughed so much where you start tearing because you're laughing so deeply? And the huge difference that, like a blanket, of golden white light comes over people when they're laughing. You look at the movies and everything. It's about blowing up, killing, macabre, horror. I mean, they're just absolutely... And I study that. I watch that. You see all the movies today that are being produced and put out there. It's just absolutely atrocious. No wonder. And then when we look at things like the current status of the planet, and we look at all this, and many of us do, those of us that are awake, instead of laughing, looking for laughter, finding a way to laugh. You know, watch puppies play or kittens or something that is going to move you into light-heartedness. You know, when we get serious, you know what the feeling is. You get serious. All of the bright light and the golden veil disappear, and it's just serious, 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 serious. And have you ever talked to people that are just they kind of laugh, and you might get irritated? Say, why are you laughing? This is serious. You should be really serious. How come you're always laughing? Life is serious. And some people get irritated with people that laugh. They take life, they look at life from a whole different perspective. It's temporary. It isn't forever. And we kind of ignore that. So when you know it's temporary, and you know the suit that you're in is temporary, then you only live in the now. Moment to moment. You laugh. You live in the now. Moment to moment. You focus on your breath. You can focus on your breath all the time. It doesn't take a lot of effort to focus on the breath. You could be walking, focus on the breath. You could be out shopping and focus on the breath. You could be doing anything, focus on the breath. Listen to the breath. Now you'll be pulled away from it several times. You'll be taken off into different directions while you focus on the breath. You just come back and focus on the breath. It's not tedious. It's awareness. And we have all spent many lifetimes outside of ourselves, seeking, searching, wanting, needing, having. And isn't it ironic that we come into these bodies to do what? To enjoy our lives, to experience physical life. That's why we are incarnating into physical forms. Now, how would you feel, that you discovered for yourself that the body that you were in was absolutely temporary, that you were not going to be forever? Now, most of us know that to a certain extent. We know that eventually we will leave the body, or on this planet they call it death. You'll die. But see, that's the strange part. We do not die. Really. We have temporary vessels, and through whatever reason, we leave the vessel. We get another one, and we do the same thing over and over and over again. Now, if you have the perspective that you go to your wardrobe closet and you say, let's see, what suit am I going to wear today? Right? Or set of clothes, whatever. And you wear them. Now, do you get worried or stressed that you're going to have to take those clothes off when you go to bed at night? No, you don't. You aren't worrying, stressing, and fearing about your mortality rate, right? You take the clothes off. It's just second nature. But that's no different than the suits we wear, these bodies. Now, what do you think will happen when the majority of the people on this planet, this civilization, understand that they'll enjoy every moment they are in that body. They will take nothing for granted. They will live everything to the fullest by their own choosing and have the awareness that they're creating their lives and the lives that they choose to live. That's a big difference. Most of us are swept along, right? We're just swept along through life. We're taught things. We absorb things. As children, we start out as sponges, and we're just taking in everything. We have no fear. We have brilliant imaginations, and we just keep moving forward with wonder and intrigue. And we're actually formed and developed by other people's thoughts. Isn't that interesting? We were formed and developed by other people's thoughts. This is how we get our personalities and character, by other people's thoughts. You're taught what's right and wrong, right? But then later in life, you find out that that wasn't the case. It wasn't true. You're taught, you might have been raised in a religion, right? And then later in life, you find out that it was all hooey. You're taught that there is a greater power outside of you that watches you, judges you, and punishes you. And then later in life, you find out that's a bunch of hooey. So we discover ourselves every time we enter a physical form. We discover ourselves. Is it rediscovery? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And the majority of us take life way too seriously. With the reality of the fact that since we're all supreme reality, that this life is temporary and that we never die. We don't. We shed the body. That's obvious. But we never die. We live throughout in eternity. We exist. We're energy. We can't be destroyed. Energy just takes on different form. You can't destroy energy with energy, say. Doesn't happen. Energy is everywhere. Energy is all that there is, ever has been, ever will be, ever beyond, and forever. It comes in different forms, sizes, shapes, and considerations. What do you think laughter is? Energy. Why do we laugh? Because we can laugh with these bodies. You think you laugh as a God? Really? As pure energy? As pure consciousness and beyond? You don't laugh as a God. The opportunities that we gain coming into these bodies that we experience are tremendous. They're tremendous. Every one of us can literally have the power, the gods that we are in these bodies, have unprecedented power, unbeknownst to this civilization and this social structure, to heal everything about our bodies, really, just overnight. Yet, things have been constituted, they've been brought together, and beliefs made that were lies, made to be truths throughout existence, that have trained us to believe a certain way. And we believe a certain way, this is what we manifest. If you look at something and you see other people doing something, right? And you say to yourself that you can't do that. No way, Jose, can you do that. And why is that? Because of other people's thoughts and how you were raised. That's the only reason. And you could see a bunch of people jumping off a bridge, bungee jumping, right, or cliff or something. And you say, wow, that looks really far out wild. Well, come on, get hooked up, do it. You'll just love it. No, it's not for me. Fear. We have that fear. And what's the fear? Thought. And as we've been going through these meditations, these guided meditations, and discovering the different bodies, this is all very prevalent and very important, because you learn to understand that you're at the core of that body. You're a soul, and then there's a God within the soul. And you're pure God energy. However you want to label it, God, spirit, higher self, whatever. Pure consciousness. And you look around you, and everything you see, you've created. You've had a part in the creation of everything that you see. And all of it is creation. Who created the planet? God's pure energy, pure consciousness. Okay, so you are that. Each of us are. So we had a part in creating this universe. That doesn't mean that we're clear and cognizant of that. It's unconscious. You start, and this is not ego mind at all. This is heart minded. This goes deep within our very core existence. And see, we come into these bodies to do what? We learn, right? And we learn who and what we are. Now, when you leave the body, when your God, the God that you are, leaves the body, and you haven't learned about who and what you are, that you're a God within the body and not the body, what do you think happens when you leave the body? You still don't know who and what you are. Coming into physical form helps us with many avenues, many directions. So then we reincarnate again, right? We incarnate. And we, life. But if you don't discover who and what you are in the body, you're not going to know what you are outside the body. So then you enter another body and you start again. Now, isn't it interesting, say, that when we leave the body, we have no memory. The memory of that life and that body, it disappears quickly. It really does. It disappears very quickly. One time, there were a group of gods, spirits, souls, hanging out, sitting around a table. I know this sounds silly, but it's pretty true. Because some of us will carry the essence of that past life body, right? And so a new soul who had just left the body came in, and they had a remnant of the experience of eating a turkey sandwich. I kid you not. So they all got together to see if they could conjure a turkey sandwich for that god. He wanted a turkey sandwich. To some, that's really simple and crazy, but it's amazing the things that we crave, still carrying the essence of the physical body that we just left, and having that urge, that memory that for some reason indelibly stuck itself within our essence. That one memory of what it feels like and tastes like to have a turkey sandwich. There's an old saying in this society is that life's simple pleasures are the best. The simpler life is, in many different ways, the happier we are, and the less burdened we feel. When you experience having nothing, okay, you come to realization is that there's things that you experience that you didn't experience when you had stuff, right? And then when all this stuff is gone, you experience lightness. You don't feel weighted down. One time there was a group of us who had been, we were working project, and we were all cleaned out. Everything gone. And this happened through, might have been our naivety, not knowing how many bad guys there were, but it happened none the same. And we're all sitting around in this garage, right? And one of us just started laughing. We basically had a little bag with our clothes that we had, and one of us just started laughing. I mean, really laughing. And so you ever been in a situation where everybody's quiet, they're contemplating things, trying to think what's their next step, and someone just starts laughing. You look at someone, they just start laughing. And then everybody starts laughing. And then all that stress and worry of what are you going to do, and, how are you going to get shelter, and all that stuff disappears, melts away. And inevitability, you create this kind of a path where everything starts coming together, and you find things, and you start bringing in more stuff, and it's a whole different feeling and experience. I really do believe that if there was a way for humanity that we, in this country, that everybody experienced what it's like to have and then not to have, to lose everything. I know that sounds kind of strange, but how are we going to know the difference if we don't experience those things? We always fear them, right? I have this friend, and he's in his 60s. He's an artisan. He's done the same things. He creates. He's a truly gifted individual. But he lives in the back of his shop. He's had everything happen to him. His body's wrecked. He's got a colon bag. He's had cancer twice. He has a pump under his skin that pumps morphine into the body for his pain level. He's afraid to go out, to dinner with people and stuff because he's afraid he'll, with his bag, his colostomy bag. And he tries to keep a happy, when I come in there, I'm just beaming and I'm laughing, and that picks him up. But he doesn't have many friends. They've all died. He was a mountain rescue. He was a firefighter. He was a bartender. He's done a lot of things. So all of a sudden, he's been in this place for 34 years. Sometimes he's like a little curmudgeon. Gets a little cantankerous and irritable. And so someone buys this whole strip of buildings. They say to him, and before he was told that he could stay there forever. So someone comes along, buys all the buildings, tells him you've got a year or you got to leave. So he's got all this equipment in his front shop, right? And he lives in the back. He's got his bedroom, his little kitchen, and he's got a little backyard with fencing, and kind of his little space in life. So now he's worried. This is what happens to us. We get so used to being really sedentary. We get embedded in something and attached to something so greatly that we'll do anything to hold on to it instead of letting go of it. So I had a conversation with him the other day, and I said, we've got to work on intendings for the universe to find you another place that's much more expansive, where you can lay all your equipment out much easier and know it, instead of being so hobbled and crowded and cluttered. And he's very excited about moving, but he's also scared to death to move. Have you ever been in that situation? Where you've been someplace a long time, and the familiarity and where you went and the grocery shop, whatever, and all of a sudden you've got to leave. But those things are what make us who we are while we're in these bodies. I've talked to people, right? And you ask them, you ever done dishes? No. You ever washed your own clothes? No. Have you ever done any labor? No. They have no clue what it's like to dig a garden or move things and organize stuff, and none of that. They have no clue. So there's no appreciation truly in what they do have, because you have to be rich before you know what being poor is. And see, a lot of people don't understand that. If you're poor right off the bat, you don't know what poor is until you've been rich or wealthy. So we have these moments in our lives, call them moments, and we always can choose. There's always a choice, either or. There's always a choice that we have. Choice to laugh for no reason. You can just start laughing, and especially with this massive transition for this planet and this civilization. And I will guarantee you something, that the people on planet Earth, through all of this, will become very close and unified, which is magnificent, and it is a wonderful sight to experience. People in this country will become unified. People will begin to realize that being in these bodies and helping other bodies is one of the main reasons we're here, because that's where the joy is, that's where the happiness is, that's where the laughter is. And on top of it, when you discover that you're the God within that body, you'll never be alone. You will never feel alone. You will never be lonely. We have many choices. Sometimes it seems like we have no choice. You ever had that where you say, well, the only choice I have is this? But in reality, you have other choices. You just haven't, they just haven't been brought to the front and center. And we learn, don't we? Don't you believe that you're learning every split second in this life? Some of you might have heard it's kind of been, misunderstood, misinterpreted, but the word tantra is freedom. Freedom from all mind constructs, from all mind games, freedom from all structures, freedom from the other. Tantra is a space to be. Tantra is liberation. Tantra is not a religion in the ordinary sense. Religion is, again, a mind game. Religion gives us a certain pattern. A Christian has a certain pattern. So has a Hindu. So has a Muslim. Religion gives us a certain style, a discipline. Tantra takes all disciplines away. When there is no discipline, when there is no enforced order, a totally different kind of order arises within us. And you're familiar with the Tao, that's what Lao Tzu calls Tao. That's what Buddha calls Dhamma. Rises in you. This is not anything done by us. It happens to us. Tantra simply creates a space for it to happen. It does not even invite. It does not wait. It simply creates a space. And when the space is ready, the whole flows in. In a province, no rain had fallen for a long, long, long time. Everything was dried up. At last, the citizens decided to fetch the rainmaker. A deputation was sent to see him in the distant town where he lived, with an urgent request to come as soon as possible and make rain for their parched fields. The rainmaker, a wise old man, promised to do so, on condition that he was provided with a solitary little cottage in the open country, where he could withdraw by himself for 3 days. No food or drink would be required. Then he would see what could be done. His requests were met. On the evening of the third day, abundant rain fell. And full of praise, a grateful crowd made a pilgrimage to his house and exclaimed, "How did you do it? Tell us." It was simple. The rainmaker answered, "For 3 days, all I did was to put myself in order. For I know that once I am in order, then the world will be in order, and the drought must yield place to the rain." Tantra says that if you're in order, then the whole world is in order for you. When you are in harmony, then the whole existence is in harmony. for you. When you are in disorder, then the whole world is disorder. And the order must not be a false one. It must be a forced one. When you force some order upon yourself, you simply become split. Deep down, the disorder continues. You can observe it. If you are an angry person, you can force your anger. You can repress it deep down in the unconscious, but it is not going to disappear. Maybe you become completely unaware of it, but it is there. And you know that it is there. It is running underneath you. It is in the dark basement of your being. But it is there. You can sit smiling on top of it. But you know it can erupt any moment. And your smile cannot be very deep. And your smile cannot be true. And your smile will be just an effort you are making against yourself. A man who forces order from the outside remains in disorder. Tantra says there is another kind of order. You don't impose any order. You don't impose any discipline. You simply drop all structures. You simply become natural and spontaneous. It is the greatest step a man can be asked to take. It will need great courage because the society, this society on this planet, will not like it. The society will be dead against him. The society wants a certain order. If you follow the society is happy with you. If you go a little bit astray here and there, the society is very angry, and the mob is mad. Tantra is a rebellion. I wouldn't call it revolutionary because it has no politics in it. I wouldn't call it revolutionary because it has no plans to change the world. It has no plans to change the state and the society. It is rebellious. It is individual rebellion. It is one individual slipping out of the structures and the slavery. But the moment you slip out of the slavery, you come to feel another kind of existence around you that you have never felt before. As if you were living with a blindfold, and suddenly the blindfold has become loose. Your eyes have opened, and you can see a totally different world. This blindfold is what we call our mind. We're thinking our prejudices, our knowledge, our scriptures, they all make up the thick layer of the blindfold. They are keeping us blind. They are keeping us dull. And they are keeping us unalive. Now, Tantra wants us to be alive. As alive as the trees, as alive as the rivers, as alive as the sun and the moon. That is our birthright. We don't lose anything. By losing the blindfold, we gain all. And if everything is to be lost and gaining it, then nothing is lost. Even a single moment of utter freedom is enough to satisfy. In a long life of 100 years, yoked like a slave, is absolutely meaningless. To be in the world of Tantra needs courage. It is adventurous. Up to now, only a few people have been able to move on that path. But the future is very hopeful. Tantra will become more and more important. Man understands more and more on what slavery is. And man also understands that no political revolution has proved revolutionary. All political revolutions finally turn into revolutions. Once revolutionaries are in power, they become anti-revolutionary. Power is anti-revolutionary. So there is a built-in mechanism in power. Give anybody power, and they become anti-revolutionary. Power creates its own world. So up to now, there have been many revolutions in the world, and all have failed, utterly failed. No revolution has helped. No man is becoming aware of it. Now they are. Tantra gives a different perspective. It's not revolutionary. It is rebellious. Rebellion means individual. You can rebel alone. You need not organize a party for it. You can rebel alone, on your own. It is not a fight against society. Remember, it is just going beyond society. It is not antisocial. It is asocial. It has nothing to do with society. It is not against slavery. It is for freedom. Freedom to be. Look at your life. Are you free? You are not. There are 1,001 bondages all around us. We may not look at them. It is very embarrassing. We may not recognize them. It hurts. But it doesn't change the situation. We are a slave. To move into the dimension of Tantra, we will have to recognize our slavery. It is very deep-rooted. It has to be dropped. Being aware of it helps us to drop it. Don't go on pacifying yourselves. Don't go on consoling yourselves. Don't go on saying everything is okay. It is not. Nothing is okay. Our whole lives are just a nightmare. Have a look at it. There is no poetry, there is no song, there is no dance, there is no love, there is no prayer, there is no celebration. Joy is just a word in the dictionary. Bliss, yes. You've heard about it, but you have not known anything about it. God, in the temples, in the churches, yes. People talk about it. Those who talk, they don't know. Those who hear, they don't know. All that is beautiful seems to be meaningless. And all that is meaningless seems to be very, very, very important. A man goes on accumulating money and thinks that he is going and doing something very significant. Human stupidity is infinite. Beware of it. It will destroy your whole life. It has destroyed millions of people's lives down the ages. Take hold of your awareness. That is the only possibility to get out of stupidity. I'll join you in the meditation, and I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. There are no accidents or coincidence in this world. Nothing is by chance. It is all a reflection, indication, expression, and manifestation of our body-mind vibration. Our vibrations are determined by the thoughts and feelings we choose to experience, which are also being sent out into this universe. Our body-minds are like massive radio towers that are emitting a personal signature energy, which is constantly being received by the universe. Positive feelings and thoughts create easy, healing, and satisfying experiences, while negative thoughts and feelings attract situations that leave us with a dark, lonely, and impoverished experience. For today, hold your attention on the most powerful vibration there is, love. Start by tuning your radio tower so it's working at 100% by practicing self-love. Love yourself no matter what happens today. This commitment, devotion, releases all negative possible accidents from entering in our vibrational field. We will win every battle with pain, poverty, and failure. Imagine what it will be like to be self-loving and self-accepting for the next 24 hours. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, and into the following morning. We will return here Wednesday, November 23, 2022, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call, and 9 p.m. Eastern to continue our Time for Change call.